A big hello to all my dearest little champions. Today we are going to start off Animal Kingdom chapter, which is from PU1. Lots of the time you have been asking PU1. So here it is, my dear little children. Listen, this particular chapter has given 1 or 2 questions every year. So this is not something that we can afford to miss. So you have to listen to me carefully. And a very important thing that I have to tell you is that I cannot be going on explaining a lot of stuff within a short duration, because you know exams are near. If I keep on explaining, then all the other chapters would be left like that. So obviously have to stick to NCERT, what is there in the NCERT. I would be just telling you what's important, what is that something that you have to keep in your mind. Yes, and I'll make sure that I am trying to make you learn with the help of tricks and tips, if at all possible. Okay, so let's get ahead and do let me know if you are liking this particular session. Yes, first things first. So how many phyla do you know we have? We have 11 phyla is written over here. But ma'am, where is the 11th one? It's only 10 over here. The 11th one is over here, which is known as chordata, my dear children. Why have I segregated into 2 parts? Because chordata are the ones that has a notochord, my dear children. Non-chordates are the ones that do not have a notochord in them. Okay, please remember that. Now, notochord is there in chordata. Ma'am, throughout their life is there? No, it's not there. Depending on whether they have it and in what point of their life they have it. We have 3 different categories as well. Okay, we have Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Urochordata have the notochord only in the larval tail. Only in the larval tail, my dear children, when they are larvae. After that, they do not have it. And then Cephalochordata, they have it from the head to tail region all throughout their life. Totally different. Then Vertebrata is there, where the notochord that you have, my dear children, it is there in the embryonic stage, but it is replaced by something else which is known as vertebral column later on. So what do they have now? We have vertebral column. Do we come under this category? Yes, we come under this particular category. So can I call them vertebrates since they have a vertebral column, my dear children? Yes. Then ma'am, what about the invertebrates? From here to here, all of them, they are what? Invertebrates, my dear children. That means Cephalochordata, Urochordata and the non-chordates that you see over here, all of them are invertebrates. Please remember it. Okay. So that is a basic thing that we have. Now let's try to put in the chordata guy over here. Okay. Now your next problem is, ma'am, I cannot remember all these names. It's too difficult to remember the order. What way can I remember it? So basically just remember this particular story. There were 3 guys, Amar, Akbar, Anthony. 3 of them were very naughty and they were having their lunch in the English class as well as the history class. So principal got them punished. Okay, the principal got them punished because they were misbehaving. What was they misbehaving? They were just having food, but still in between the class, it's so bad, no? Someone is teaching and the other guys are eating, even I did it, but still it's bad, right? So they were misbehaving, which is why they got punished. In which class? English and history class. Now we are going to put the same thing over here, and that way you will be able to remember it also. So first thing, principal. P stands for principal and P stands for porifera. Okay, principal claimed, he said that, okay, he claimed that C stands for Cnidaria, even though, what do you say, C is silent, still I put that, okay. So, principal claimed 2. Now, 2 stands for Ctenophora. Again, I know C is silent, but I have included T over here. So, to punish Amar, Akbar and Anthony for what? For misbehaving in what class? In English and history class. Rest is also history. So principal claimed, okay, it was initially principal called to punish Amar, but the English was totally incorrect. So I put it as principal claimed. So principal claimed to punish Amar, Akbar, Anthony for misbehaving in what? English and history class, my dear children. In that way you can remember the order. At least if you remember the order, a lot of things becomes easy. So please remember, first guy comes in Porifera, okay, which has lots of pores. You also call them sponges. Then you have Cnidaria, then you have Ctenophora. Ctenophora are known as comb jellies. Okay, Platyhelminthes are flatworms. Aschelminthes are basically including the roundworms. Annelida are basically earthworms. Okay, not earthworms. And then you have Arthropoda, which like insects and things like that, crab and all of them. And then mollusk. such as mollusks, such as you have a snail, all these things, okay. Echinodermata such as your starfish, Hemichordata, Balanoglossus you might not be knowing, and Chordata like us, okay. So all these are there under the 11 phyla that we have to study. Now on what basis did we categorize them into each phyla? So there are certain bases of classification. First basis of classification is level of organization. In what level are they organized? So in some organisms they just made up of cells, so I will call them cellular level of organization. What is that organism having cellular level of organization? Over here, the most primitive one, the first guy to come in, that is what? Poriferans. When we go deep, my dear children, we are going to it modified, we are going to get complex, remember that. So poriferans are the one that have what? Cellular level of organization. Always remember these bases of classification. There are 5 or 6 bases of classification on the, if you remember those things clearly, you might be at least be able to remember 4 to 5 characteristics of each phyla easily, okay. Now tissue level of organization means cells have come together to form tissues over here. Now who shows that? Coelentrates. Okay, the coelentrates. Who are coelentrates? We didn't study coelentrates, ma'am. Basically, the cnidarians that you see over here, they are also known as coelentrates. So, coelentrates and Ctenophora, both of them, they are going to show what? Tissue level of organization. Found in coelentrates, and also what, my dear children, I just told you, it, coelentrates, just a second, Ctenophora, yes. You have Ctenophora and them together showing what? Tissue level of organization. Then after that, tissues come together to form what? Organ. So organ level of organization is seen in whom? In Platyhelminthes, the flatworms. Just like that, if you see over here, we are, where is it go? Yeah, we are just going in order, my dear children. So this was cellular level of organization, both of them tissue level of organization. Now we have organ level of organization. Now then we would be having organ system level of organization. What do you mean by that? Basically the organs are going to come together, act like a system. For example, digestive system, where my esophagus and my intestine and the stomach, everything is coming together, forming a system. Where do you see it? From Aschelminthes to chordates, my dear children, we see organ system level of organization. So according to level of organization, if we compare, okay, so first one just cellular, then 2 tissue, then this one Platyhelminthes is organ, and then you would be having organ system level of organization. Going ahead with the next thing, what do we have? Digestive system. Okay, what about digestive system, my dear children? There are 2 types of digestive system. One is incomplete and the other one is complete. Incomplete means what? Half it is incomplete? No, my dear children. In incomplete, there is only one opening. For what? One opening for things to get in and also to get out. That means food, they enter, they take in food through one opening and they basically throw out the food through one opening. Same, puppy shame, right? But exactly this is happening. Incomplete digestive system, my dear children, single opening is there, that is mouth and anus is together, and you can find it in Platyhelminthes, that is the flatworms. In Platyhelminthes, we found one more thing, that is organ level of organization. So they are kind of unique in having everything extra, like they are the only ones who have it, right? So organ level of organization only in Platyhelminthes. Okay, and then incomplete digestive system also you will be finding in other organisms, but still let's remember Platyhelminthes for now. Now complete digestive system means what? You would be having 2 opening. There will be a mouth and there will be an anus. Mouth for letting things in and anus for letting things out. Okay, now talking about the circulatory system, my dear children, we have open circulatory system and closed circulatory system. Both of them will be having a heart, and also capillaries, and also what? Blood vessels to pump. But what happens in open circulatory system, my dear children, is that there will be blood vessels. In the blood vessels, my dear children, when blood vessels will be opening up, there will be a bunch of cells. So they are going to have a quick little bath with the blood. That is how their circulation goes on, and there will be vein to take this blood back. But you see any connection over here between the arteries and the veins? No, you would not be having that particular connection. So I will be calling this type of circulatory system as what? Open circulatory system. Where do I find it, ma'am? You can find it them in arthropods. You can find them in what? Arthropods, the insects. Okay, now arthropod and also some mollusk. Most of the mollusk, my dear children, most of the mollusks, they also have open circulatory system. Not all of them, most of them would be having open circulatory system. So 2 of them, arthropods and mollusk. Mollusk as in the shelled organism that you have. Now what about the closed circulatory system? Closed circulatory system as in us, where what is there? You have the heart, from the heart you have arteries, then you have veins, in between them you would be having capillaries. So there is no any bloodbath over there that is happening over there, you get it? So closed means blood circulates through vessels. So just these terms are really important for you to know, which is why I have included, and also I am going paragraph by paragraph. Okay, so in one particular paragraph of level of organization I found these things, please remember these things. Cellular level in sponges, that is Porifera, tissue level in Ctenophora, as well as you have coelentrates, that is Cnidaria, organ level in Platyhelminthes, organ system level from Aschelminthes to chordates. Digestive system incomplete is found in Platyhelminthes, complete in all the other organisms that you have, and circulatory system, my dear children, open is found in what? In arthropod and most mollusks, my dear children, whereas when you talk about closed, it is found in other organisms like us and annelids and everything. Okay. And coming to the next basis of classification, that is symmetry. Okay, that is what? Symmetry. Now symmetry means how you can divide the organism. Okay, asymmetry means you cannot divide the organism into two by any halves. For example, if the organism is in this shape, my dear children, do you think you can cut them into two equal halves by any plane? No. So they will be known as asymmetric organism. In this again comes the most primitive organism, which is what? The poriferans. The poriferans, if I show you the picture, you will understand why do I say so. So they cannot be cut into equal halves. I cannot show you now. It's later on, it will come. Okay. So anyways, they cannot be cut down into equal halves because they do not have a proper symmetry. Now talking about radial symmetry, what do you mean by radial symmetry? Radial symmetry means you can cut an organism into equal halves from any plane, if you try into the central plane, if it any plane as in it should be passing through the center. Okay, to the central axis, if I try to cut this organism, I will be getting two equal halves. Again from this plane also, if I cut the organism, again I will get two equal halves. So basically to the central plane I can cut them into equal halves, my dear children, by multiple places. Through multiple places I can cut them. This is known as radial symmetry. Where do you find that? You find them in coelentrates again. Again you find that in coelentrates, that is basically Cnidaria, and then you have what? Ctenophora. These guys were always together until now. Okay, and then one more guy is in your NCERT, and that is what? Echinoderms. Echinoderms is also there. That means the starfish one. It is also there, included up over here. Now, in echinoderms, since it is not so usual, there is a catch also that you should be knowing. So, adult echinoderms are radial. The adult ones are radial, but their larval forms are not radial. They are something else that is known as bilateral in symmetry. What do you mean by bilateral symmetry, my dear children? Basically, you can cut them into two equal halves, but only through one plane that passes through the center. So, over here you see a crab. I can cut this particular crab into two equal halves, but only through one plane. You get it? I cannot cut it through two multiple planes giving equal halves, my dear children. There is only one plane that I can cut, I can get equal halves. So this is known as bilateral symmetry, and the same thing is exhibited in echinoderms. Which echinoderms? The larval forms of echinoderms. The adult, they show this radial symmetry. The larval forms, they show what? Bilateral symmetry. So bilateral symmetry is found in all the other organisms except these things that are mentioned over here. So body can be divided into identical left and right halves by only one plane, found in annelids, arthropods, etc. All the other organisms which are going to come the way, they are going to show what? Bilateral symmetry. So we studied about level of organization, that is cellular, tissue and things like that. Then we studied about symmetry, asymmetry, radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. Here and here it's the same thing like them. Okay, initially in organ you have Platyhelminthes as a separate thing, but over here everything is the same. In bilateral symmetry, Platyhelminthes also comes under bilateral symmetry itself. Okay, got it. So I have written over here because it is entirely, as I said, it's just from your NCERT. So they have said from Annelida, arthropods and things like that. What about Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes? They also show bilateral symmetry itself. Okay, they do not have any other symmetry. They just have bilateral symmetry. Okay. So now going ahead, we have germ-layers. Okay, what do you mean by germ-layers? So when we are in the embryonic stage, my dear children, we have three different germ layers. The outer one is known as ectoderm. The innermost one is known as endoderm. So this is ectoderm, this is endoderm, and in the middle you will be having what? Mesoderm. You will be having mesoderm. Suppose you have these three layers, you will call these organisms as triploblastic organisms or triploblastic animals. If you just have two, that is ectoderm and endoderm, you will call it what? Diploblastic organisms. Ma'am, then is it plain in between? No, my dear children, there will be another substance which is known as mesoclea. they will be having another layer that is known as mesoglia. But you count them, since they just have two prominent layers, you will count them diploblastic, not triploblastic. Again, can I include the primitive organisms over here, ma'am? Yes, I will start including the primitive organisms. So I have diploblastic and triploblastic. Which one do you think is more complex? Obviously diploblastic having, more complex will be triploblastic having 3 layers. Okay, so the less complex one is over here, and the less complex phyla that we are having is what? Poriferans, Cnidaria, and then Ctenophora. What about poriferans? Do you think that they will be having diploblastic, triploblastic, things like that? Well, they just have cells. Do they have tissues? No, they do not have tissues. So can I actually count them? And because when I say endoderm, ectoderm, I am saying that these germ layers are going to form tissues. Okay, they are going to form tissues, but there is no use of tissues in the case of poriferans. So basically I should not be categorizing them in either of the category, but if I have to, I will categorize them under diploblastic organism, not triploblastic. But anyways, actual diploblastic in your book starts from Cnidaria and coelentrates. Sorry, not Cnidaria. Basically Cnidaria and coelentrates is the same thing. Coelentrates and what? Ctenophora. So we have excluded poriferans over here. Okay, we have excluded poriferans over here, but if you're asked, if you just have these two options to put down, you can put them under diploblastic organism. Now, as I said, it's not like they just have one empty inside, in between these two layers, they do not have anything. They definitely have an undifferentiated layer between the ectoderm and endoderm. You call them as mesoglia. What do you call it? Mesoglia. Now, all the other organisms starting from Platyhelminthes to chordates, my dear children, they will be having triploblastic level of organization, not level of organization, triploblastic germ layers. That means 3 embryonic germ layers will be there: ectoderm, mesoderm, and the endoderm. Bacha log, what is the use of it this? Particularly, ectoderm will be giving rise to some things, for example, nervous system or your skin and everything. Mesoderm will be giving rise to something else, and endoderm will be giving rise to something else. Each of them will be having some function in your body. So these are embryonic tissue layers that you have, the germ layers that you have, giving rise to each of the organs and things like that later on in life. Okay, I hope it's clear. So this time we kicked out poriferans, rest all of it is still there. And we studied about what? This is what? Germ layers. Before that we studied about symmetry. Over here sponges were included. In radial symmetry, two such as coelentrates and ctenophores were included, but we included echinoderms, that is a special category. And bilateral symmetry, in that we have all the organisms from Platyhelminthes to chordates, including the larval form, okay, the larval form of echinoderms as well. Now, going ahead, we have coelom. What do you mean by coelom? So basically, the body cavity which is there, my dear children, that is what you mean by coelom. Okay, the body cavity which is lined by the mesoderm. For example, in the human beings, if you have seen, okay, we have an alimentary canal. We have, so here only I have started the intestine, but I hope you get it. So this is the head. Okay, so over here, my dear children, if you see, there is a tube within what our body, which is also acting like a tube. So you see there is a cavity over here. There is a cavity over here. The outer layer will be forming this outer thing. The innermost layer will be forming the innermost organs and every lining of the things. But in the middle you have something left. Okay, in the middle there is a cavity, and that cavity is known as coelom. But how did it arise from? What did it arise from? That is not how did it arise from, what did it arise from? So as I told you, there are 3 different possibilities. Okay, there are 3 different possibilities. One is that you have ectoderm. Okay, you have ectoderm, and then you have what? Sorry, endoderm. Okay, this is the endoderm, that is the innermost thing. Okay, it has come over here. Just a second. Okay, so this thing that you see from outside in purple color or blue color, whatever color you perceive it as, so it is what? It is the endoderm. And here you think a layer is there. What do you see? What do you call this? This is the endoderm. And now the cavity which is there, it is over here. So it is like you broke open the mesoderm, which was the middle layer, and you formed a cavity within it. So when you do that, what will happen? The mesoderm will be lining that particular cavity that you have here, right? Mesoderm which is there, it will be lining the cavity that you are having. In this case, when you have a cavity which is lined by mesoderm on either side, my dear children, you will call this as true coelom. You will call this as true coelom. Suppose you do not have a cavity at all over here, you will call them as acoelomates. They do not have coelom. Acoelom as in A for absent. Coelom is what? Absent. Now there is something that is known as pseudocoelom. What? Pseudocoelom. What is happening over here? If you see, there is cavity, but is the cavity lined by the mesoderm? No, it is not lined by the mesoderm. Instead, they will be having certain mesodermal pouches that you see over here. They would be having certain mesodermal pouches. So cavity is there, but it is not lined by mesoderm. So I'll say they have coelom, but it is like false coelom. It is not true coelom. So what is the term for false in the case of science? You call it pseudo. You call it pseudo. So they have pseudocoelom, my dear children. Now you have to tell me which type of organism will be having this, this and this. Any guesses? Any guesses? What type of organism will be having this, this and this? Basically, again, we spoke about diploblastic organism. We spoke about diploblastic organism. Diploblastic organisms have endoderm and ectoderm, and in between they have mesoglia. So do you expect them to have a cavity? Do they have a cavity? No. So all of them, they are acoelomates. That means Cnidaria as well as Ctenophora, they are acoelomates. Now after that, poriferans are also left. Okay, poriferans also you can, since they do not have anything, you can categorize them also as acoelomates. Okay. Now what are we left with? Poriferans done, Cnidaria done, and then you have Ctenophora done. Now what is left with? You have Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes also, my dear children, they also are acoelomates. They do not have coelom. They also are acoelomates, they do not have coelom. After Platyhelminthes, you have Aschelminthes. Now Aschelminthes, they will be trying to have coelom, but that is what? Pseudocoelom. They are trying to be in that zone, but not happening. Okay, they have pseudocoelom. After Aschelminthes, you have what? Annelids. From them starts what? True coelomic cavity. From them they would be having true coelomic cavity. So my dear children, please remember, poriferans, Cnidarians, Ctenophora, all of them, they are considered to be having acoelomates. They are considered to be acoelomates. First of all, Cnidarians and Ctenophora, they do not have the mesoderm itself. So there is no point of having a cavity in the mesoderm. Instead, they have the mesoglia. There is no cavity in them. Okay. Now, even after having the mesoderm, who does not have the coelomic cavity? It is Platyhelminthes, that is flatworms. And after that you have Aschelminthes, which are pseudocoelom, and after that Annelida to chordates you have true coelom. I hope you got it. So acoelomates, animals without a body cavity. Example Platyhelminthes, pseudocoelomate. Example Platyhelminthes and the three other guys. Okay. Pseudocoelom, body cavity not lined by mesoderm, with mesoderm as scattered pouches between the ectoderm and the endoderm. Pseudocoelomates, animal with a pseudocoelom. Example Aschelminthes. Now coelomates, animals with a coelom. Example annelids, mollusks and arthropods, echinoderms, hemichordates and chordates. As I told everyone out there. Okay. Now going with the next. So we have studied almost one level of organization of the first basis of classification. Now we are classifying on the basis of symmetry. Okay. And then we classified on the basis of germ layers, and then the coelom. Now we have two more, that is what? Segmentation and notochord. Segmentation means whether the body is externally and internally divided into segments, and in the segments there is some unique feature, that is there will be serial repetition of organs as well. There will be organs, certain organs that will be repeated. For example, you can see that in the case of earthworm, and also you can see segmentation in our case also. We have ribs, we have vertebral column, so there is segmentation in us as well. Okay, please remember that. Now this phenomenon is known as metamerism. Degree of metamerism depends upon organism to organism. In the case of annelids, they have high degree of metamerism. Okay, both internal and external division is there, and they have serial repetition of organs as well. Now talking about notochords, we studied about it earlier itself. Okay, so it is mesodermally derived. From the mesoderm you get the notochord, my dear children, and mesodermally derived rod-like structure it is there. Notochord is what? It is a rod-like structure which you derive from mesoderm, and it is found on the dorsal side, that means the back side, dorsal side during the embryonic development. Okay, when there is embryonic development happening, that's when you find it. Now, animals with notochord are known as what? Chordates. Animals without notochord are known as non-chordates. In non-chordates come all those things. From Porifera to Hemichordata, they are all non-chordates. Okay, then you have chordates. Now example of non-chordates is Porifera to Echinodermata, but as I told you, Hemichordata was not initially included, but later it was. So in the initial part of the chapter it is written until echinoderms. In the later part, when they are explaining Hemichordata, there is written that they are also non-chordates. So please categorize them here itself, not to avoid confusion. I wrote it here itself. Okay, I hope you got it. Cool. Now whatever we studied can be summed up with this particular thing over here. Okay, so there is no need to go again and revise if you study this with me right now. So my dear children, we are talking about kingdom Animalia, right? We are talking about kingdom Animalia over here. They are all multicellular organisms. We are made up of multiple cells, right? Now, in the level of organization, some are there with cellular level of organization. There will be cell. Okay, and that is what, my dear children, that is poriferans. Then we have tissue level of organization. Tissue level is found in coelentrates and ctenophora. Okay, now we have organ level of organization that is found in Platyhelminthes. Then we have organ system level of organization that is found from Aschelminthes to, my dear children, Aschelminthes, Annelids, Arthropods, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. Now going ahead, organism that is having cellular level of organization. If you talk about it, symmetry, it is what? Asymmetrical. It is mostly asymmetrical. That is poriferans, obviously we cannot cut them into equal halves. Talking about them, these organisms, if you have radial and bilateral symmetry, right? Radial symmetry is exhibited by the two guys which are always together, the coelentrates and ctenophora. But apart from them, Echinodermata was also mentioned, if you remember. Echinodermata was also mentioned. Is it the adult form or the larval form? It is the adult form, my dear children. So adult form are friends with these guys over here, the primitive ones, okay, adult ones. So sometimes we adults try to be friends with you guys, right? Similarly over here, we are with the adult form which is there, it is trying to be friends with the kids over here who are what? Coelentrates and ctenophora. Okay, and so going ahead, bilateral symmetry is found in what? Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelids, Arthropods, Mollusc, and the larval forms of what? Echinodermata, Hemichordata and then Chordata. So larval forms of just Echinodermata, okay, not Hemichordata and Chordata. Please remember that. So the child is over here and the adult is over there. You can remember there's a clear mismatch happening. Now talking about the coelomic cavity, since they do not have anything, poriferans do not have the diploblastic body organization, triploblastic body organization, do not have the cellular layers because they just are made up of cells, right? So they are acoelomate for sure. They are acoelomate. What about coelentrates and ctenophora? My dear children, they are diploblastic. Why? Why diploblastic? Because they have two cellular layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm, but they do not have the middle layer, that is they have mesoglia instead. So obviously they cannot afford to be having a cavity as well. So this is why they are termed as acoelomates. But what about them? So Platyhelminthes, even though they have a mesoderm, they do not have a body cavity. So without a body cavity. Now Aschelminthes, they have a cavity, but it is not lined by mesoderm, which is why it is false coelom, that is pseudocoelomates. Now Annelids to chordates, they all are true coelomates. Got it? Okay, now segmentation, you can see that in what? Basically annelids and things like that. And then we studied about one more thing, that was notochord. Notochord is only found in chordates in any stage of their life. If they have it, they are known as chordates, okay, and rest of them, they are non-chordates. Got it? Open circulatory system. Open circulatory system is found in arthropods and most of the mollusk, okay. And then we studied about this incomplete digestive system you find in Platyhelminthes. So these are the unique features that you have to remember apart from what we are learning. Okay. Now starting with the first phylum that we are having, poriferans. So about poriferans you know a lot of things already. So let's tick off those things first and then we will talk about the new things that we have to study. Okay. So first thing, commonly known as sponges. Okay. Do you know that? I hope you know that. They are commonly known as sponges because they have pores in between them. Okay. Now what have we studied and what is over here? They are multicellular organisms with cellular level of organization. This we have studied. Anything else we have studied? Okay, I think I have not included over here. So they are acoelomates. They are acoelomates and they are asymmetrical. Asymmetrical as well, starting with A. They are the first thing. So asymmetrical, acoelomates. Now first thing, they have a water transport system. They have a water canal system. Actually you call it as a water canal system. And what is it? What is this particular water canal system made up of? So basically the thing is that they would be having something like this. So my dear children, the thing is, water will be entering through pores. What do you call these pores as? You call this as ostia. What do you call this as? Ostia. And now it will land up over here. This particular area is known as spongocoel. After that, after entering through ostia, obviously it has to move out as well. Obviously it will go to the spongocoel and then later it will be moving out with the help of what? Osculum. Now these three things constitutes the water canal system of poriferans. One very important thing about poriferans. So that is a unique feature that they have, that is water canal system, water vascular system that you find in echinoderms is totally different. Please remember it. So water canal system is found in these guys, that is poriferans. Now, so water enters through ostrea, that is minute pores, into the central cavity which you call as spongocoel. Water exists through what? Osculum. This pathway helps in food gathering, respiratory exchange and waste removal. Obviously, can they afford to have an excretory system? Baba, they have cellular level of organization. So respiratory exchange, food gathering, waste removal all happens with the help of this water going in and out. Okay. Now they also have one very important thing, unique feature again. They have choanocytes, that is collar cells in the spongocoel and the canals, my dear children. So as I told you, they have cellular level of organization. So the cells itself, they have specific functions. So over here, the innermost cells that you see over here. So this is a layer, this is a zoomed in version. You see these cells 1, 2, 3. These cells are known as choanocytes or collar cells. Choanocytes or collar cells. What do they do is they take in the food inside and they break it inside. They break it within itself, my dear children. Similarly, they will be having multiple cells for multiple function. For example, they have pinacocytes forming the outer covering of the sponge, okay, which will be taking in sometimes food inside and things like that. They have porocytes, that means cells which has pores through which the water can get inside. They have sclerocytes which will be secreting silica spicules that will be providing them an exoskeleton. Otherwise, they will be falling down. They need a proper skeleton, right? Exoskeleton, and that is made up of, you will be seeing it, it is made up of spicules and things like that. We will be studying it one by one. Okay. So over here, my dear children, choanocytes or collar cells in the sponge is the line in the spongocoel and the canals, my dear children. Digestion is intracellular, inside the cell. So they are very shy to take it outside. So within the cell itself, the digestion is taking place. Remember, it's primitive. Yeah. The body is supported by skeleton made up of spicules or spongin fibers. Okay, spicules or what? Spongin fibers. Very important. You will find different organisms having different exoskeleton. Now they are hermaphrodites. What do you mean by hermaphrodites? The sexes, that is male and female, is present in one body itself. So both eggs and the sperms are produced by the same individual, and they have asexual reproduction also, that is by fragmentation, where they divide their body and different body parts give rise to the whole part. Yeah. Then they have sexual reproduction also. What is so unique about sexual reproduction? First thing, they are hermaphrodites, both sperm and egg is released in the same body. Now formation of gametes, and then the gametes, my dear children, will be fertilizing internally within the body itself. The gametes are not released outside. And indirect development is there. What do you mean by indirect development? That means there are larval stages in the between. Okay, there will be larval stages distinct from what? The adult. Examples of what? Cycon, which is also known as scypha. So cycon is over here, right over here, my dear children. This is cycon. This is euspongia that you have, and this is spongula. Now one among them is a freshwater sponge. What about others? My dear children, they are mostly marine. They are mostly marine. That means they are in the salt water environment. Okay, cool, got it? Okay. Now what are the unique features? Water canal system made up of ostia, spongocoel and osculum through which water goes out. Then their canal and the spongocoel is lined by choanocytes or collar cells which takes in the food, and the digestion is what? Internal digestion is happening, or intracellular digestion is happening. Now this exoskeleton is made up of spicules or spongin fibers, my dear children. They are hermaphrodites, male and female in the same body, and they can do asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. Asexual is by fragmentation. Sexual is basically by release of gametes. The gametes fuse internally within their body itself. They are producing it then only. So obviously, why not? Fusion also internally it will be happening, right? But there is one thing. Indirect development is there. That means there is a larval stage in between. Got it? Then you have cycon, you have spongula, and then you have euspongia. The bath sponge is euspongia. Cycon is scypha, and spongula is freshwater sponge. Mostly they are this thing. Got it? Done. Over here, one more thing. This particular water canal system is useful for food gathering. Obviously, with water, food also comes. Respiratory exchange because gases diffuses out, and also waste removal. So food and waste you can remember together, and also respiratory because they do not have any other thing, excretory system involved over here, right? So I do not know why I said that. Oh my god. Respiratory exchange because they do not have a respiratory system in them. Respiratory system because they do not have a excretory system in them. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. That happens when you basically try to finish a chapter really fast, but I hope you got it. Yeah. So yes. So this is the general structure of how sponges look in real. So just have a look, and now going ahead with the next thing. Cnidaria. Okay, Cnidaria are known as cylindrids as well. They are known as what? Coelentrates as well. They are also mostly marine. Now what all things do you remember about them? They have tissue level of organization, you know that. Okay, so the normal things that we know, let's tick it off. So radial symmetry, yes, you know they are radially symmetrical. You can divide them into into how many number of halves you want. Oh my god. You can divide them into equal halves through any plane that you want. Yeah, that is what you mean by radial symmetry, but make sure it is passing through the central axis. And apart from that, they have a tissue level of organization, we discussed about it, and they are diploblastic. They have two layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Middle layer is known as mesoglia. Okay, middle, there is no layer, there is a bunch of things that is known as mesoglia. Okay, yes. Folks, so these are the things that we studied already. Now the new things. The name Cnidaria is derived from cnidoblast or cnidocytes. Okay, cnidoblast, that was what? That was different. Okay, over there in the case of poriferans, you had choanocytes. Okay, choanocytes. It's like it's like that, choanocytes. You can remember like that, but don't remember like that. It's choanocyte, that is better. So choanocytes. So over here it is what? Cnidoblast or cnidocytes containing the nematocyst. What do you mean by nematocyst? Nematocyst is a stinging capsule. So it has certain toxins over here. So if you see, this whole thing is a cnidoblast, and inside this, the yellowish thing that you see, it's the nematocyst. What happens is that this barn and everything is inside. It is usually inside. And if you see, there is a structure like this. Okay, if this structure is elicited by any movements, my dear children, what happens? Slowly this barn comes out like this, and it will be going and basically puncturing the organism out there, or basically it can be used for anchorage. So it is basically for defense, offense, and also for anchorage. Remember, it is known as stinging cell as well. Okay, so the name Cnidaria is derived from cnidoblast containing what? Nematocyst within it. Now nematoblasts are used for anchorage, defense, and also for the prey capture. Now tissue culture done. Central gastrovascular cavity with single opening, that is mouth on hypostome, is there. Mouth on hypostome. Wait. Basically, you don't have to remember like that. Oh my god. Okay, so over here, they similarly, just in the case of poriferans, how did we had osculum? Similarly, how we had the spongiocele, similarly they also have a cavity, and that is known as gastrovascular cavity. What do you call it? Gastrovascular cavity. It also has a single opening. Okay, digestion, if you see, they are a little more advanced than the poriferans. It is both extracellular, that is outside the cell. So outside the cell, certain things will be released and it will be broken down outside. For example, in the case of human beings, how do we have digestion? In our stomach also, the cells which are there, they release certain enzymes and basically break the food outside the body, outside the cell, right? So extracellular digestion is seen here, and also they show intracellular digestion. So they are basically starting off with extracellular, but they have intracellular just like their old poriferan ones, friends. Okay, now some cnidarians like corals have a skeleton made up of calcium carbonate. What? Calcium carbonate. There it was spongin fibers and spicules. Yeah, there it is. Here it is what? Calcium carbonate. Now they have two basic body forms, my dear children. One is polyp and the other one is medusa. Polyp is where it looks like this. Polyp is where it looks like this. Over here, as you can see, the tentacles that you see, okay, so basically they have tentacles. They would be having tentacles like this, and on these tentacles there are cnidoblasts that are there. Okay, on these tentacles you have the cnidoblast. So if the tentacles are moving and if they come across with something, the nematocyst basically get active and it releases the toxin out there with the help of the barn. Okay, now over here I was talking about, so if the structure is like this, where the tentacles are mostly up, my dear children, it is known as polyp stage. On the other hand, if it's ulta, it's like this, it will be known as medusa. So this is polyp and this is medusa. They have two body forms. Polyp is basically sessile, so the one that do not move around, they just stay at one place and they are like this, okay, and they are cylindrical form. As you can see, they are cylindrical form. You have hydra and adamsia showing only polyp body form. Okay, it's showing only polyp body form. Now in medusa, it is like umbrella shaped, as you can see over here. It looks like an umbrella. Jellyfish is an example of it, yeah. So over here, Aurelia or jellyfish is an example, and they are mostly free swimming. That means they would be moving around. Sessile means they are at one particular place itself. So two basic body forms: polyp, that is sessile cylindrical form, found in hydra and adamsia, and medusa, that is umbrella shaped free swimming, it is found in Aurelia or jellyfish. Now alteration of generation, that is known as metagenesis. What do you mean by that? Basically, some organisms, okay, among them, they show different body forms, both polyp as well as medusa. This is known as alteration of generation, also known as metagenesis. Okay, so polyp produces medusae asexually and medusae forms polyp sexually. This is found in Obelia and also Physalia. According to your book, only Obelia, so let's learn only Obelia. So polyps are going to produce, the polyps which are there, they are going to produce medusae in with the help of asexual mode of reproduction, and medusa are going to form polyps sexually as well. Got it? Example. Now talk about Physalia. Physalia is Portuguese man of war. It looks like that. Okay, it looks like a big thing that is found on the sea, my dear children. Okay, what do you call it? I forgot the name. Somehow I forgot the name. So Portuguese man of war, that is Physalia. Go check down their picture. It will be really easy for you to remember if you know their picture as well. Adamsia is the sea anemone, and Pennatula is the sea pen, and Gorgonia is the sea fan. Meandrina is the brain coral. Looks like a brain. So all the names are would say similar to how they look. Okay, so Physalia, Portuguese man of war, Adamsia, sea anemone, and Pennatula is sea pen, Gorgonia is sea fan, Meandrina is what? Brain coral. Good, cool. So let's just summarize these things. So very new features that they have, and let's compare as well. So here the exoskeleton is made up of calcium carbonate. There it was made up of spicules or sponge and fibers. Here the digestion is both intracellular as well as extracellular. There digestion is what? Only intracellular. Here you would be finding here you will be finding cnidoblast. There you have what? This thing. What do you call? Choanocytes as a different thing. Cnidocytes here and choanocytes there. Got it? There you would be having spongiocele. Here you are having gastrovascular cavity with a single opening. Cool. Works and what? Here you will be having two body forms, that is polyp and medusa. Polyp is found, or there are certain organisms having only the polyp body form, that is Hydra as well as Adamsia, my dear children. Whereas medusa is the umbrella shaped thing which is found in free living cnidarians and such as Aurelia or jellyfish. The same thing, the name is the same thing. So Adamsia is this thing. This is how Adamsia looks. Adamsia is also known as sea anemone. Okay. Now alteration of generation is also seen where you can find both the body form, that is polyp and medusa. Polyp produces medusa asexually, medusa produces polyp sexually as well. It is found in Obelia or Physalia. Cool, works. And here what is the use of cnidoblast? It is there for anchorage, it is there for defense, it is also for food collection, that is prey capture. Works, done. Cool. Now we are going ahead with the next thing. This is how they look. So this is a hydra and this is a jellyfish. Okay, now it is what? Medusa form, and that is polyp form. And they have tentacles, always remember. Cool. Now we have Ctenophora. Ctenophora is very easy to remember. Okay, why? Because they have a structure like that and their features are mostly matching their structure which is given in the picture. One very important thing, here it is marine, mostly marine just like them, and sessile or free living as well. Remember the free living, remember the freshwater sponge that you have. What is it known as? It is known as spongilla. Okay, it is known as spongilla, remember. Okay. Now the features that we already know, it is radially symmetrical, they have tissue level of organization, they are diploblastic. Okay, and now they are also known as sea walnuts or comb jellies because they have comb like thing over here. So these bands that you see, they are comb like, and you know what, they have cilia like this, so which definitely looks like a comb, my dear children, which is why they are known as comb jellies or also sea walnuts. They are exclusively marine. Now here you cannot find freshwater and this and that. They are exclusively marine. There did we find anyone who was okay. So they are also mostly marine, but you can find freshwater also. But here in the case of Ctenophora, they are exclusively marine, my dear children. Please remember it. And now going ahead with their unique features. They bear at least 8 external rows of ciliate ciliated comb plates that help in what? Locomotion. They will be having ciliated comb plates that would be helping in what? Locomotion. Digestion, if we see, it is both extracellular and intracellular, just like them. So it's mostly like a copy of them, but in a different sense, okay? And something very unique, they have bioluminescence. So these two things are very unique to them, bioluminescence and 8 external rows of ciliated comb plates, okay? Now sexes are not separate, hermaphrodites. So basically we are going back to poriferans. In poriferans they were also not having the separate sexes. So they are also hermaphrodites, and here the reproduction is only sexual, my dear children. This is not like poriferans. Poriferans have both asexual and sexual. Asexual in fragmentation and sexual internal fertilization, remember, right? So here it is only sexual, and not just that, the fertilization is external. That means the gametes are released outside and the fertilization is happening externally. But they are showing indirect development just like the poriferans. So it's like one feature not of poriferans, one feature of poriferans, okay? So it's like a mix of lot of things. So first thing, okay, one thing that they have taken from their fellow friends, that is cnidarians, is that digestion is both extracellular as well as intracellular, okay? Now over here, something that is taken from the poriferans is that sexes are not separate, that is they are hermaphrodites, okay? Again, something that they have not taken, something that is unique, is that their reproduction is always sexual, my dear children. Again, something similar, reproduction is sexual, and also fertilization, if you see, it is external, opposite to them, yeah? And just like poriferans, they also have indirect development. So two things are like poriferans, they are hermaphrodites and they have indirect development. But if we talk about reproduction, it is sexual reproduction and the gametes are fusing outside, that is external fertilization, okay? And now examples are Pleurobranchia and Ctenoplana. Pleurobranchia and Ctenoplana, this is what Pleurobranchia that you can see over here. So they will be having 2 tentacles also like this, and they have comb plates. How many? How many of them? 8 ciliated comb plates, okay? So bioluminescence as well as 8 external rows of ciliated comb plates are something very unique to them, and rest of the things, as I said, this one taken from Cnidaria, 2 taken from poriferans, 2 of their own, okay? Got it. Let's go ahead with the next thing. This is the picture. As I said, they show bioluminescence as well. Going ahead, you have Phylum Platyhelminthes. So Platyhelminthes, my dear children, they are mostly endoparasites. First thing first, they are known as flatworms. What do you mean by flatworms? They are like dorsoventrally flattened. Okay, they are dorsoventrally flattened. You have seen tapeworm, it's like look like a tape. My dear children, why? Because it is flattened. So mostly they are endoparasites. What do you mean by endoparasite? That means they are within the body of an organism and they are going to act like a parasite. They're going to feed on our things, okay? Body structure, they are dorsoventrally flattened, hence called as flatworms. Symmetry and germ layer, bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic and acoelomates. First organism to be actually acoelomate even after having what? Mesoderm. Until then, until now you didn't have mesoderm, which is why you were known as acoelomates. But here you have the mesoderm, still you are like that, okay? Body level is organ level of organization, as I already told you. Now, something unique to them, one was dorsoventrally flattened. This is so unique things will mark in yellow. So dorsoventrally flattened. Apart from that, if you see parasitic adaptation, since they are endoparasites, obviously they will be having hooks and suckers for what? Attachment. They will be having hooks and suckers for attachment. Some absorb nutrients directly through the body surface as well, okay? Mostly they are taking through hooks and suckers and everything they are going to take in, and sometimes they are through the body surface also they are going to take things in. Excretion and osmoregulation, very important thing, okay? Excretion and osmoregulation by flame cells. From here it starts excretion and things like that. Okay, they have what? Flame cells. Reproduction, sexes are not separate just like other guys, hermaphrodite, but here they are showing internal fertilization and they have multiple larval stages as well. So this is like poriferans, the first guys. So P for platyhelminth is for P for poriferans. So the reproduction is kind of same. This is just that the asexual mode of reproduction was fragmentation. Here also it's like fragmentation only. They are showing high amount of regeneration as well. So after fragmenting, if you have that capacity of regeneration, then only you can give rise to a whole new organism. For example, I have this liver fluke. If I cut it like this, still it will be giving rise to the whole structure like this. This is known as regeneration capacity. So obviously you have to get fragmented first and then undergo regeneration. That is how it usually works. So you can remember these things like just like poriferans. So sexes are not separate. Internal fertilization is there, multiple larval stages are there, and my dear children, planaria exhibits high regeneration capacity. There multiple larval stages are not mentioned, just mentioned that indirect development is there. Indirect development means larval stages are there. Okay. Now, so very unique features, and something that you have to remember exclusively is about flame cell. What does flame cell do? It helps in 2 things. One is osmoregulation and the second one is excretion. Osmoregulation, excretion and flame cells. So even however you want to remember it, you can remember EOF, OFE, but you have to remember, please my dear children, flame cell for excretion and osmoregulation found in Platyhelminthes or flatworms. Okay, flame cells for flatworms, FF. Okay, and it's for two features. Okay, just a second. Guys, and also examples are tinea, that is tapeworm, and fasciole, that is liver fluke. Now just give me a second, I'll be back. Children, we were here, so I hope the whole thing is done. So the unique feature about them is they are dorsophenally flattened, and also the parasitic adaptation, hook and suckers for attachment, and remember their body surface also helps them to taking the nutrients. Okay, excretion and osmoregulation is through the flame cells, and reproduction just like you have in podiferans, that's how it works. And examples are tinea, solium, that is the tapeworm found in the intestine, and also liver fluke, that is fasciola. That's all. Okay, now going ahead with the next thing that we have is Aschelminthes. The unique feature about Aschelminthes, the first thing that we already know, and it's very unique from others, is that they are pseudo-coelomates. They do not have a proper true coelom. Instead, they have mesodermal pouches. Remember, the pictures are really important. So the pictures that we saw up over here while we were solving, while we were talking about coelom, these pictures are really important. So here where you see the lining, it is true coelom. This is pseudo-coelom. Here where you do not see any cavity, it is acoelom. These pictures can be coming. You have to, so giving out these pictures, they will ask you which all organisms have this kind of coelom. So please be sure you're going through the pictures really well. We'll be solving the important questions in the top 30 MCQ video as well, so please do not worry about it. Okay, now talking about Aschelminthes. So they are profoundly known as roundworms as well. Okay, they are known as roundworms as well. Body structure circular in cross section, hence called roundworms. Now free living, okay, they can be free living, that is not depending on any other organism for food and things like that, or they can be parasitic in the case of plants as well as animals. So free living, aquatic or terrestrial, either in water or in terrestrial region, or they can be parasitic as in plants or animals. Now organization level, we know about it. So what we know, we then, if whatever we know, we are going to mark it in yellow. So organ system, I do change the colors in between, so sorry for that. So organ system level of organization is here, over here. Symmetry is bilateral symmetry and triploblastic, and they are pseudo-coelomate, my dear children. Talking about digestive system. So Platyhelminthes, my dear children, one very important thing that was missed over here, which is not there in their description in the NCERT, is that they have incomplete digestive system. They have incomplete digestive system. So over here, while you take in the food, that is the only place where the things go out as well. Okay, so after that comes flame cell for excretion and osmoregulation. So here in this case, they have a complete alimentary canal with a well-developed muscular pharynx as well. Complete alimentary canal as in there is a separate opening for mouth as well as anus. So complete alimentary canal with a well-developed muscular pharynx, my dear children. Excretion. Excretory tube removes waste via an excretory pore. So they have an excretory pore and also an excretory tube. Talking about reproduction, here the sexes are separate. So until now sexes were what? In the same organism, but from now on the sexes are going to be separate. So in the case of Cnidarians, you didn't see hermaphroditic things, okay, but in all the other things, for example Ctenophora or Poriferans or Platyhelminthes, you saw that the sexes are in the same organism, but over here they are having dioecious nature. That means the sexes are separate and the females are longer than males. So which among them is a female? It will be this. It will be longer than the males, my dear. Fertilization and development, it is internal fertilization, and development may be direct or it could be indirect as well. Okay, fertilization is internal, development may be direct or indirect. Either they can have larval stage or they do not have larval stage. Please remember this thing. So again, Platyhelminthes, if you compare just the previous one, they were hermaphrodite, but these are what? These are having separate sexes. Here the females are longer than the males. Fertilization, if you see, it is internal over here. It was internal over there as well, because it was just like the Poriferans, right? And they had definitely multiple larval stages, but over here you may be having direct or indirect development as well. That means larval stages is there, could be there or could not be there. Okay, now that is it. Exaris, roundworms is an example. Vicariae bancrofti or Vicariae malai is filarial worm, and Ancylostoma is hookworm that you have. So what are the unique features that you should definitely know? One is that They could be free living, or they could be what? Parasitic in plants and animals. Apart from that, they have an for digestive system, they have a complete digestive system, okay, with a muscular pharynx. And excretion, if we talk about that, they have a excretory tube ending with a excretory pore through which excretion happens. Reproduction, my dear children, they are dioecious in nature, they are not hermaphroditic. Females are longer than males, that is very unique, okay. Rest, internal fertilization, development may be direct or indirect. And examples are these many things, and they are known as roundworms. Cool? So here is a picture of Ascaris itself. Going ahead, the next thing, that is Annelida. Now Annelida, they are known as segmented worms. So you can see segments over them. You can see segments over them, which is why you call them what? Segmented worms. So this is Nereis as well as this is Hemichordata, that is leech. Okay, leech you call it as Hemichordata, that is a scientific term for leech. Now, again, features that we already know, let's mark it in yellow. So organ system level of organization, they are bilaterally symmetrical, they are triploblastic, and they are coelomates, my dear children. Okay, from here coelomate starts, right? Now talking about segmentation, their body is metamerically segmented, that means they are divided with the ring-like systems, and my dear children, very important thing is that their organs are also going to repeat in each segment out there. Okay, this also we have learned. Now, what is the thing that we have not learned? Okay, one more thing we have learned, they have a closed circulatory system. I told you it's just in arthropods that you have an open circulatory system, and also in some mollusks. Most of the mollusks, they also have an open circulatory system. Rest of them, they will be having a closed circulatory system. Okay, now rest of the things, all the things are new. So let's learn them one by one. Habitat, they are in aquatic. They can be in aquatic area, that is marine or freshwater, or they can be terrestrial, or they can be free living or parasitic as well. Okay, so aquatic or terrestrial is their habitat, and they can be the free living format, or they probably would be parasitic, that means they can act as a parasite as well. And now talking about locomotion, so longitudinal and circular muscles aid movements. Okay, longitudinal muscles are there, and also circular muscles will be there, my dear children, which would be aiding movement. So one will be contracting, other will be relaxing, that way they would be able to move. Parapodia in aquatic forms help in what? Swimming. They also have a structure that is known as parapodia, which would be helping in what, my dear children? Swimming. Remember, these are exclusive features. Parapodia for swimming. Now, excretion, if we talk about that, nephridia is there, which helps in osmoregulation and excretion. So in the case of Platyhelminthes, you had flame cells for osmoregulation and excretion. Over here you have nephridia that helps in what? Osmoregulation as well as excretion. In the case of Aschelminthes, you just have excretory pore. Now talking about nervous system, they have paired ganglia connected by lateral nerves. So they would be having paired ganglia, which would be connected by what? Lateral nerves, my dear children, to a double ventral nerve cord. To what? A double ventral nerve cord. So they have paired ganglia connected by lateral nerves to what? Connected to double ventral nerve cord. Very important. Now Nereis, reproduction is Nereis is dioecious, my dear children, that means sexes are separate in them, while earthworms and leeches, they are monoecious, that means they are hermaphrodites, and sexual reproduction is going to take place over here. So they have both hermaphroditic nature and also monoecious nature, dioecious nature as well. So both like Platyhelminthes and Aschelminthes, and they definitely show sexual reproduction. Development is not mentioned, it is mostly without larval stages. Now Nereis aquatic worm, it's an aquatic worm that you see. Okay, Ferretima is also known as earthworm, and Hemichordata is the blood sucking leech that you have. So again, unique features, my dear children, what you have to remember is that their body is metamerically segmented, and their locomotion is that how do they locomote, how do they move, basically you have longitudinal as well as circular muscles. Apart from that, you have parapodium. Apart from that, you have what? Parapodium. Now excretion is with the help of nephridia. Okay, excretion and osmoregulation is with the help of nephridia. Nervous system, they have paired ganglia connected with the help of lateral nerves, which is later connected to what? A double ventral nerve cord. Double ventral nerve cord, ventral side. This is dorsal side, this is ventral side. They have a double ventral nerve cord as well. Okay, Nereis is dioecious. Okay, Nereis is aquatic and it is dioecious, that means sexes are separate, while earthworms and leeches, if we talk about them, they are hermaphrodites or monoecious, they show sexual reproduction. So these are the features that you should be definitely knowing about them. Okay, Going ahead, you have Arthropoda, my dear children, which includes the insects and everything. It is the largest phylum that includes insects with over 2/3 of all the named species, my dear children. That is a huge number. Now, what do we already know about it? They have an organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic. They are also segmented. Please remember, they are also segmented. For example, cockroach, if you see, they have a segmented thing, thorax, abdomen, if you see, they are all segmented. They are coelomates as well. Talking about exoskeleton, so we just studied about exoskeleton at 2 places until now. One was about calcium carbonate found in cnidarians, okay, and then we found this thing, spongin fibers and spicules in the case of poriferans. Now we are back again with the exoskeleton. So here the exoskeleton is made up of chitin, and body is divided into head, thorax and the abdomen. So head is there, thorax is there, and also abdomen is there. And if we talk about appendages, they have jointed legs for movement. Arthros actually means joint and poda means appendages. So arthropoda came from this term only. Okay, they have jointed legs for what? Movement as well. Talking about respiration, this is the most important thing. Question have come from this. They have gills, they have book gills, they have book lungs, they have tracheal system as well. Gills, book gills, okay, book lungs, and they have tracheal system. Either way, anything of them will be there for respiration. Circulatory system, as I said, they are the ones with open circulatory system, not connected with blood. So they definitely have blood vessels, but it's not like the blood vessels are connected. Sometimes the cell are going to take a quick bath in the blood. Sensory organs, antennae is there, compound or simple eyes is there, statocyst is there. So antennae, you know, okay, compound eyes or basically simple eyes could be there. Statocyst is a balancing organ that is there, which is also going to act like a sensory organ. Now excretion over here is done through Malpighian tubules. Is done through what? Malpighian tubules. Over there in the case of annelids, what did you have? You had Nephridia, my dear children, for excretion. Over here you have Malpighian tubules. Reproduction is dioecious. They are 2 separate sexes. Internal fertilization is there. They are mostly oviparous. They are now going to lay eggs, my dear children. Okay, dioecious and internal fertilization just like your Aschelminthes, okay, but then they are what? Mostly oviparous. That is there. Now, can be direct or indirect, as in they can have larval stages or they cannot have larval stages. That depends totally. Now, examples, you have different economically important ones that are there. That is Apis, that is honeybee, Bombyx, that is silkworm, and Lacifer, that is lac insect. Okay, so you have Apis and that is honeybee, Bombyx, that is silkworm, and Lacifer, that is lac insect. If we talk about vectors that carry diseases, my dear children, you have Anopheles, Culex, and also Aedes mosquito. Pest, Locusta, that is locust, okay, one of the biggest pests. Now, living fossil, as in it has all the features of the old thing, so it is acting as a living fossil, my dear children, that is Limulus or king crab, again very important example. So, let's see for the very special features. So, this is a phyla that has so many unique and special features, okay, something so different. So, we have to study about them, right? So, talking about their exoskeleton, it is made up of chitin, please remember that, and their body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen. So, they have appendages, that is jointed legs for movement, my dear children. They have jointed legs for movement. If we talk about respiration, they have gills, they have book gills, they have book lungs, and also they could be having a tracheal system for respiration. If we talk about circulatory system, it's an open circulatory system. Sensory organs, they have antenna, they have compound or simple eyes, and they also have statocyst, which is the balancing organ. Excretion is through Malpighian tubules, very important thing, Malpighian tubules. Talking about reproduction, they are dioecious with internal fertilization, and mostly they are oviparous, can be direct or indirect, showing indirect or direct development. Economically important things are Apis, Bombyx and Lacifer. Okay, vectors are Anopheles, Culex and Aedes, and then pest is Locusta. Living fossil is Limulus, that is the king crab. So, over here you have certain pictures, go through it once. Okay, it will be very, very easy for you to remember it then. Yes, so relate and learn, it becomes more easy. Cool, children, let's go ahead. Yes. Now, Phylum Mollusca. Okay, what about Phylum Mollusca? It is the second largest phylum. So, first thing is Arthropoda, and after that comes your Mollusca. So, it is found in terrestrial as well as aquatic, that is marine and freshwater habitat. What do we already know about them? They have organ system level of organization, again bilateral symmetrical, and then triploblastic, and they are coelomates. Okay, body structure, they are unsegmented. In the case of arthropods, they were segmented, but over here they are going to be unsegmented with a calcareous shell, my dear children. They have what? They have a shell distinct head, muscular foot and visceral hump. So if you have seen them, it looks like a snail and all. If you have seen, it looks like this. So they have a muscular foot, my dear children, they have a visceral hump, and they also have a head region that is out there. And my dear children, there is a shell which supports them. So there is a calcareous shell as well, mantle and mantle cavity. So soft skin layer, mantle that covers their visceral hump, my dear children. Always remember that. Okay, that is mantle. A mantle cavity contains feather-like gills for respiration and excretion. So they will be having feather-like gills for what? Respiration as well as excretion. So usually gills are for respiration, but over here it is for excretion as well. That is very unique feature about them. Where do you find it? Feather-like gills. Feather-like gills, you are finding them in the mantle cavity. Okay, in the mantle cavity you would be finding in. Sensory structures, they have tentacles present in the head region for basically sensing. Okay, tentacles at the head region. And feeding organ, the radula is there present in the mouth for feeding. So radula is like file like rasping organ which is there for feeding things. Reproduction, again dioecious, mostly oviparous just like them, and indirect development. Okay, indirect development, again just like you have arthropods, and arthropods may or may not be indirect. So yes, internal fertilization oviparous, and they are dioecious. Similarly over here it's dioecious and it's oviparous, and indirect development is also found. Examples are phyla, that is apple snail, Pinnectada, pearl oyster, sepia, cuttlefish, loligo, that is squid, octopus devilfish, Eplesia, that is sea hare, dentalium, tusk shell, and Chitoplora, that is chitin. Again, children, I will recommend you to go through the pictures really well. In that way only you might be able to recollect and learn. So let's just segregate things. Let's just study it once, something new. Okay, what's new about them? They usually have a calcareous shell, my dear children. Okay, so they have a head region, they have a muscular foot, and also a visceral hump. The visceral hump is basically mostly covered by a mantle, which is a thin layer that you have, and then you have a mantle cavity in which you have gills, in which you have feather-like gills, my dear children, which is there for respiration and also for excretion. Okay, feather-like gills for respiration as well as excretion. If we talk about sensory things, you have it on the head, the tentacles are there. If we talk about the feeding organ, they have a file-like, rasping organ which is known as radula. Okay, which is known as radula. And the reproduction is mostly dioecious. They are oviparous with indirect development. Okay, rest of the things are being mentioned over here. These are the examples. Cool? Works. Chalo. Next thing, you have phylum Echinodermata. So echinodermata means spiny bodied animals. They are exclusively marine. They are exclusively marine, just like your friends Ctenophora. Okay. Now symmetry, you know, its adults are radially symmetrical. That means you can divide them into equal halves through multiple planes, my dear children, which passes through the center. But larvae, it is bilaterally symmetrical. Organ system level of organization is there. Endoskeleton is made up of calcareous ossicles. So they have an endoskeleton. You're not talking about exoskeleton. Within their body, they have an endoskeleton, just like how we have an endoskeleton made up of what? Bones. They have an endoskeleton made up of calcareous ossicles. That is something new in them. So I should not be marking it with yellow. Yeah, that is something new in them. And then, so this is new. And triploblastic and coelomate, we studied it already. Digestive system, it is complete with mouth on the ventral side and anus on the dorsal side. Ventral side is this side and dorsal is this side. So they have mouth on the ventral side. If you see a starfish, the ventral side will be having a mouth. On the other side, they will be having what? The anus. So they have a complete digestive system. Unique feature, they have a water vascular system. Now this is different from water canal system that you found in poriferans. I already told you. They have a water vascular system, and this water vascular system, my dear children, according to its movement, it will be helping in the water within it. According to its movement, it will be helping in the locomotion, the food capture, and also respiration. Again, with the help of the water, the gases can be easily exchanged, right? So locomotion, the food capture, and respiration is a very important function being performed with the help of the water vascular system. Now excretory system, it's absent in them. They do not have an excretory system. Now sexes are separate, dioecious. Fertilization, my dear children, it is external. It is what? External. Now that is something that you found for something new, because in Cnidaria, I think you saw them. Okay, in Cnidarians you saw Cnidarians, or was it just a second, okay? Even I got confused. I think in Ctenophora or Cnidarians. Ctenophora. Yes, no. Fertilization is no, just a second. Yes. In the case of Ctenophora, you studied that basically fertilization is external with indirect development. So until then it was internal, but now you saw external fertilization over here. That was one feature of that was different from poriferans, right? Remember it profoundly. So similarly over here you would be having what? External fertilization. Okay, here fertilization is going to be external and the development is going to be indirect with free swimming larva. It means there will be a larva. Okay, examples: Asterias, that is the starfish; Echinus, that is sea urchin; and then Antedon, sea lily; Cucumaria, sea cucumber; Ophiurea, that is brittle star. Please make sure you go through the examples really well. Okay, and also the sea lily, sea urchin, sea that, sea hare, sea in other things also you have sea hare, so you get confused. So that's why I'm requesting you to go through the pictures. It will help you to remember things in a much better manner. So my dear children, what is unique about them? What is unique about Phylum Echinodermata? They have a complete digestive system, okay, just like their friends, other friends, that is, what do you call them? Here you had it. Okay, I'm not able to get it now. Anyways, so they have what? They have a complete digestive system. Yes, in Aschelminthes, my dear children, they have a complete digestive system. In the case of Platyhelminthes, they do not have it. Okay, fine. Now over here, what do we have? Rest of the things, I think it's done. Yes, yes. Unique feature is water vascular system, which helps in locomotion, which helps in food capture and also in respiration. Excretory system is not found in them. Sexes are separate by regional. Fertilization is external and the development is what? Indirect with free swimming larvae as well. Got it? Going ahead, we have Hemichordata. Now Hemichordata, as I already told you, is that they were first initially considered to be chordates, but then later on it was recognized that no, we cannot put them in chordates because they do not have a notochord. Instead, they have another thing that is known as stomochord. That is totally different. Okay, they have a stomochord which has high resemblance to notochord, but it is not a notochord, which is why they were put out of chordates. Now they are known as non-chordates, my dear children. So earlier a subphylum of chordate, but now classified under non-chordates. Unique feature is that presence of stomochord in the collar region. So they have three regions. One is the proboscis, the second one is collar region, and the third one is trunk region. Okay. Now over here, proboscis is going to act like an excretory organ. There is a gland over here, not proboscis. Proboscis gland is there, which is going to act like an excretory organ, my dear children. That is a unique feature about them. Okay. So they are exclusively marine, worm-like organisms. Body structure, if you see organ system level of organization, we studied bilateral symmetry. Again, we studied triploblastic and coelomate. Body is divided into three parts. Okay. Proboscis, anterior. Okay, that is this collar, middle, and trunk, that is posterior. Circulatory system is again of open type, just like your other friends, that is arthropods. And respiration is through gills because they are mostly aquatic only, my dear children. And excretion, proboscis gland functions as an excretory organ. Reproduction, sexes are separate. Fertilization is external and development is indirect, just like your Echinodermata friends. And example is Balanoglossus and Saccoglossus. Okay, so what is unique about them? Unique about them is this and also this. Okay, proboscis gland functions as an excretory thing and respiration is through gills. And examples are this, and they have a stomochord instead of in the collar region in the place of what? A notochord, which has a high resemblance to what? Notochord. So I am recording this particular video in two parts, which is why today it feels like I have so much energy. Yes, and my dear little children, so I have made something very important for you, that is the phylum, and there's special features that you definitely have to remember. So I could have done it initially as well, but if at that point of time I told you that Porifera, this is the important feature, this for this phyla, this is the important feature, you could not have related better. So which is why obviously I had to give a detailed explanation about everything, and now we have landed up at a safe place where probably this is kind of a revision chart for you guys, which you have to definitely remember because this is where you will get your most answers from. So Porifera, you know, they have choanocytes, that is the collar cells where internal digestion happens or intracellular digestion happens, and they have water canal system which is basically helping in what? Which is basically going to help in the process of respiration, that means gaseous exchange as well as food capture and a lot of other things, okay, and water transport, movement, everything. So, and they also have spongin or spicule which acts as a exoskeleton, my dear children, okay. Now talking about Cnidaria, they have nidoblast within which you have nematocyst, which is a stinging part, yeah, and they have polyp and medusa form. They also have an exoskeleton made up of what? Calcium carbonate, okay. Now Ctenophora, you know, they have 8 ciliated comb plates, my dear children, and they also have bioluminescence. Platyhelminthes, they are the acoelomates, the first actual acoelomates, okay. These guys are also acoelomates, but this is the actual one because they have the mesoderm, and within the mesoderm they do not have a cavity. They are also known as flatworms, and the most important thing about them, they have flame cells, okay, flatworms, flame cells, remember, and it is for what? Both excretion as well as osmoregulation. Now we have Aschelminthes. They are pseudo-coelomate, my dear children, okay. The first guys who are pseudo-coelomates, they have a complete digestive tract, unlike Platyhelminthes which didn't have a complete digestive tract, okay, they have an incomplete one. Now the excretory tube and excretory pore is over here for excretion rather than flame cells over there, yeah. Annelida, if we talk about that, they have metamerism, that is sedal segmentation, yeah. They have nephridia for excretion, something different from all of these other things, yeah. They have parapodia for locomotion, and they have a closed circulatory system, my dear. That is a very unique thing about them. Now talking about Arthropoda, they have jointed legs, they have malpighian tubules for excretion. So you see different organisms have different things for excretion, and these guys are really important. Gills, book lungs or tracheal system for respiration, and statocyst is also there at the head region for what? Which is acting as a balancing organ. They also have a skeleton made up of what? They have a covering made up of chitin. Okay, they have a covering made up of chitin, and they have an open circulatory system. I forgot to write over here, but you please remember that. Mollusca, they have a mantle cavity, they have mantle, they have muscular foot, they have visceral hump, they have head region, they have tentacles on the head, and they have feather-like gills in the mantle, my dear children, for what? Respiration and both excretion. Okay, gills are just for respiration we think, but this is for excretion as well. Now calcareous shell is also there. So for here you see the mode of excretion is different, right? And now echinoderms, they have water vascular system, not water canal system, that is for food capture and respiration and for locomotion. They have a complete digestive system just like annelids, and the other guys, yeah, who were those? Yeah, Aschelminthes and everyone, yeah, and they have radula, that is rasping organ, and they have an endoskeleton. They have an endoskeleton within their body. They have an endoskeleton what? Made up of calcareous ossicles, and that is something different about them. Hemichordata, they have stomacord instead of what? Notochord, my dear children, and they were included in chordata, but now it is not. They have prostate gland for excretion. They have prostate, they have collar region and a trunk region. Now the prostate gland is there for excretion. So I hope this is clear. This is a very important thing about all the phylum. And now we are moving ahead with Phylum Chordata, my dear children. And what is so special? My hair, my god. What is so special about Chordata? They have certain very important features that you have to remember, 4 of them. Okay, what are those? Basically, if you see over here, they have a nerve cord. They have what, my dear children? This orangish thing that you see over here, this is a nerve cord. And you know what? Nerve cord is that something that would be giving rise to brain or the spinal cord later on in their life. Now just below the nerve cord they have notochord. This particular notochord in some organism, it becomes vertebral column, what's safeguarding the spinal cord and the brain and everything that you have. Okay, vertebral column does not safeguard the brain, but yes, I'm just telling you, it safeguards the spinal cord. So nerve cord is going to give rise to CNS, central nervous system. Notochord is there, which is probably going to form a protective layer around the nerve cord that you have over there. And now they also have pharyngeal gill slits. Over here you see gill slits. That is also a characteristic of what? Chordates. At any point of their life they would be having this. And they also have a post-anal tail. Okay, they will be having a post-anal part as well. So these are the 4 features of an organism to be a chordate. They should be, at least out of these 4 features, all the features should be there at least at some part of their life, at the embryonic stage, larval stage, or whatever stage, but it should be there. In that case, they would be considered as what? Chordates, my dear children. I hope you are clear with that. So presence of notochord, dorsal hollow nerve cord. So why do you say dorsal? Because this side, my dear children, is dorsal side. So over here you see a dorsal side. On dorsal side you have nerve cord. Just below that you would be having your notochord. So can I say notochord is also on the dorsal region, but can I say it is in ventral position to nerve cord? It is just below the nerve cord. So I'll say notochord is in ventral position to the nerve cord if I have to say in comparison to the nerve cord, or else I'll just say notochord is on the dorsal side and it is mesodermally derived. We studied in the initial part of the chapter. Please remember that as well. Now they are bilaterally symmetrical, we are bilaterally symmetrical, only we can be cut through only one plane into equal halves, that is this, yeah. Then we are triploblastic, we are coelomates with organ system level of organization. Presence of post-anal tail and closed circulatory system is also found in chordates. Now my dear children, there are 3 subphyla. So this is a phylum chordata. We have 3 subphyla of chordates, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata, about which we studied in the initial part of the chapter. So what happens in the case of Urochordata is that they definitely have notochord, but at what? Where? They have notochord in the tail region. Tail of what? The larval tail, my dear children. So Euro term means tail, my dear children, and hence that means that notochord is present only in the larval tail. Only in what? My God, my hair. Someone told me it will be, oh my God, wait. This is the problem of tying a ponytail. Okay, so basically yes. So notochord present only in the larval tail, and it is exclusively marine organism. That means they stay in salt water condition. Now you have example Acidia, Salpa and Doliolum. You can remember it as SAD. S for Salpa and A for Acidia and D for Doliolum. They are sad, okay, because they just have a notochord in the larval tail region. After that, we have Cephalochordata, my dear children. Cephalochordata is where the notochord is going to extend from the head to the tail. Cephalo means head, okay. So from the head to the tail it will be there, and it will be persistent throughout the life. The notochord is going to be there throughout the life. That is the feature of Cephalochordata. Example is Branchiostoma, that is Amphiosex, or you also call it what? Lancelet. Branchiostoma, Amphiosex or Lancelet, either way you can remember it. Now talking about what Vertebrata. Vertebrata is where now the twist happens. The notochord, my dear children, it is replaced by something that is known as vertebral column. So do they have notochord? Yes, they definitely have notochord in the embryonic stage. In the embryonic stage, even we have gills, we have tail and everything. After that, when we become an adult, do we have that? Nothing is there. So notochord is present only in the embryonic stage, and it's replaced by what? Cartilaginous or bony vertebral column in adults. It can be either made up of cartilage or can be bony. Okay, what? Vertebral column. So all vertebrates, my dear children, if you see, so all the organisms that comes under this are known as vertebrates. So all vertebrates are chordates? Yes. But are all chordates vertebrates? No. Please be very careful about that particular sentence as well. So all vertebrates are definitely chordates because we are coming under that, but all vertebrates, all vertebrates are chordates, but all the chordates are not vertebrates. Please remember that. Okay, cool. I hope you got it. So what are the other features that are there? Have ventral muscular heart. What do you mean by ventral muscular heart? Heart is over here on the ventral side. This is dorsal side, this is the ventral side. So on the ventral side, they have a muscular heart with 2, 3 or 4 chambered heart. Okay. Kidneys are there for excretion. Now we do not have nephridia and flame cells and things like that. We have kidneys for excretion as well as phosphorylation. And paired appendages are there, either paired limbs or probably fins or whatever you have. Okay, but we would be having what? Paired appendages as well. These are the characteristics of what? Vertebrata. So over here only in the larval tail, over here from head to tail region throughout their life, and vertebrata where basically notochord is replaced by the vertebral column. These things you have to remember. Now going ahead, there is a small chart between chordates and non-chordates. So in chordates, you see notochord is present over here. It's obviously absent, which is why they are non-chordates. Central nervous system is dorsal, hollow and syncytial. We just studied, right? The dorsal nerve cord is at the top region, so obviously the central nervous system will be also at the dorsal region, not the ventral region. Central nervous system is ventral. In the case of annelids, we studied they have a ventral thing, ganglia and things like that, remember? So they have a ventral, then the front side it is there. Central nervous system is ventral, solid, and it is double as well. But over here it is dorsal, okay? It is not solid, it is hollow, and it is what? Single. It is just single thing. Now pharynx perforated by gill slits over there. Gill slits are absent in the case of non-chordates. Now heart is ventral. Again, heart is over here in us, but as heart is dorsal. If present, their heart will be dorsal. So do not get confused with central nervous system. Central nervous system, it is going to be dorsal in us, but heart is going to be ventral. Just look at us. Okay, just look at yourself. You'll get to know. But on the other hand, non-chordates will have all this ulta. Now a post-anal tail is present in the case of chordates at any point of their life, but here the post-anal tail is absent. Got it? So that is a representation between chordates versus non-chordates. Now we are coming to talk about subphylum Vertebrata. Okay, we are going to talk about subphylum Vertebrata. So phylum we studied, in that we have 3 subphylum. in vertebrata, now we have division, two division, one is agnatha and the other one is gnathostomata. What do you mean by agnatha? Agnatha means stands for absence, right? Agnatha, natha means jaw. So they do not have jaw, my dear children. Just like how we have jaw and our teeth are embedded within the jaw, that is not there in them. That is not there in them. Here in gnathostomata, that means they have a mouth with jaw, my dear children. They would be bearing jaw. So these are the two divisions coming under vertebrata. Now this division, if I go ahead, I can directly form what? A class. So there is one class under agnathans, that is cyclostomata. That means their mouth is circular in nature. That is what you mean by cyclostomata. We'll come back to this page again. Let's talk about this first. So vertebrata division, agnatha and gnathostomata. In agnatha you have cyclostomata, circular mouth. It is going to be fun. Please do not worry about anything. So over here you see this organism. This is known as pteromycin. Okay, this is known as petromycin, okay, not pteromycin, petromycin, which is also known as lamprey. Now if we see its mouth, it looks like that. So do you see any jaw, my dear children? No, but they have certain things like this protruding out, which will be helping to remain on the flesh of some other organism. So their tooth are not tooth exactly, so they definitely have some clinging things, but it is not attached to the jaw. They do not have jaw, which is why they are coming under agnatha. Now whom are they attaching on? So basically they are going to attach on fishes. They are going to be on their surface as an ectoparasite. As what? An ectoparasite. Please remember that. Okay. So all members are ectoparasites on fishes. Body is elongated long with 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration. So as I told you, gill slits would be there in some point of their life, or they would be persistently having it. So they have 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration, which you can see over here, my dear children. Apart from that, they have sucking. Okay, sucking and circular mouth without jaw. They do not have jaw, so they are jawless vertebrates. Do they have scales? Do they have scales? No, my dear children. So fishes have scales. The one that they feed on, they have scales and everything, but they do not have anything. No scales, no paired fins. No scales and no paired fins. Cranium and vertebral column are cartilaginous. Okay, I told you if vertebral column is there, it can be made up of cartilage or it can be made up of bone. So over here, cranium and the cranium as in the one that supports their brain. Okay, so cranium and the vertebral column are cartilaginous. Bones comes later on. When you become more advanced, that's when you get bones. Okay, now they have a closed circulatory system as well. If we talk about their habitat, it's marine organism but migrate. This is a very sad story. So they are usually in saltwater areas. Okay, but they would be going to freshwater areas for spawning. They would be dying after spawning within what? Within a few days. And then what will happen? The larvae, they will undergo metamorphosis, they will undergo changes, and they will come back to the ocean, saying that where are their parents. So that is a very sad kind of story, but yes, you have to remember it. Okay, you can remember it in this way only. So all members over here are ectoparasites with 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits. They have a sucking circular mouth without jaw, obviously, which is why they are known as agnathans, and they come under class cyclostomata with round mouth. Okay, no scales or limbs are there, and cranium and vertebral column are cartilaginous. There is a closed circulatory system, marine organism, but they would be moving to what? Freshwater for spawning. After spawning, they will die. The larvae will undergo metamorphosis. They will come back to ocean. Example is petromycin, that is lamprey, and myxin, that is hagfish. Got it? I hope that is clear. Okay. So that is about cyclostomata. This comes under division agnatha. Talking about gnathostomata. Okay, so this was division. Now under that you have superclasses. You have two superclasses. One superclass is Pisces and the other superclass is what? Pterapoda. Okay, it is what? Pterapoda. So over here you have class Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes. Over here your class Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and mammals. So over here, so not Pterapoda, I said tetra. I should have said Tetrapoda. What do you mean by Tetrapoda? That means they have 4 limbs. That is what it means. Okay, there are 4 limbs. Tetra, 4. Okay. So over here Pisces, as in they would be having fins, my dear children. Instead of limbs, they have what? Fins. Here they do not have fin and anything. There they have fins, there they have limbs. So Pisces and Tetrapoda, they become the superclass, and class Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes comes under Pisces. So we will be talking about Pisces first. Pisces means you are talking about fishes, my dear children. Okay. So over here, let's start with the fishes. First thing that you have is class Chondrichthyes. Okay, C for Chondrichthyes, C for cartilage. Please remember like that. So their body, my dear children, it is the endoskeleton is going to be made up of cartilage, not bones. As I told you, when you go more ahead, you get more advanced. So as of now, they are not advanced. Okay, your shark comes under this. Shark, which is very big, you know what, their endoskeleton is actually made up of endoskeleton. Okay, so big things we see, so we look so rough and tough, but within that we are papa guys. Okay, so similarly shark is also papa. So over here, habitat exclusively marine. They would be found in sea water, my dear children. And body shape, it is streamlined for efficient swimming. They have the endoskeleton made up of cartilage, not bones, I told you. Mouth position, this is very important. Now when you see Osteichthyes, you will get confused, which is why I am telling you to have a comparison. So if you see, their mouth is towards ventral side, that means downside. If I am like this, my mouth is going to be like this. Now do not compare me with a fish, but yes, this is how it works. They have a mouth over here. In the case of Osteichthyes, they will be having a mouth over here, that is just in the front region they will be having their mouth, or in the ventral region if they have it, that means they are contractus. Okay, notochord, it is going to persist throughout their life, not replaced by bones. And now with that you might have a confusion, ma'am, then how can we say they are vertebrates? So basically the thing is that partial conversion of notochord definitely happens to form the vertebral column, that is there, but we will say notochord still persists. Notochord is there because only partially it has become vertebral column. So notochord persists throughout the life, not replaced by bones. My dear children, you have to remember one line, even though it's confusing, but yes, but at the back of it you should know that partially it is getting converted to vertebral column, which is made up of cartilage, not bones. Now gill slits separate and lack operculum. So they definitely have gill slits, but what happens is that it is not covered. So they are like, shark, you know, they look so rough and tough, so they're like, see, I have gill slits, everything. So there is no covering and all, there is no operculum, please remember it. Again, this is a feature between what? Chordictis and Osteichthyes. So they would be having operculum, here you do not have operculum. Skin, tough with placoid scales. They have different type of scales, that is known as placoid scales, my dear children. And teeth, if you say modified placoid scales, they are the modified placoid scales, and they are towards backwards. If you see, it's like this. Okay, their teeth will be like towards backwards. Jaw, that's very powerful, adapted for what? Predation. Buoyancy, you know what, there's a very sad story about them. They do not have air bladder, so they cannot be basically resting. If they rest, they are going to sink. Okay, so for avoiding that, they would be obviously swimming constantly to avoid swimming. Please remember, they do not have air bladder. Again, a difference between Osteichthyes and Chordictis. Now circulation, they have two-chambered heart. Fishes, they just definitely have two-chambered heart. Okay, always remember that. Two-chambered. Then amphibians and reptiles have three-chambered. Then you have aves as well as mammals as four-chambered heart. In reptiles and all, you have certain exceptions, that is there, but usually it goes like this only. So 2, 3 and 4. Now over here they have two-chambered heart. Please remember, one auricle and one ventricle. Okay, some special features are there. Some have electric organs, for example torpedo, electric ray. Some have poisonous stings such as trigon, that is stingray. Now you have cold-blooded poikilotherians. Okay, please remember one more thing, that is their special feature, they are poikilotherms. Fishes, my dear children, they are poikilotherms until, I'll tell you, until reptiles, all of them are going to be poikilotherms. Only aves and mammals who have four-chambered heart, okay, that is birds and mammals who have four-chambered heart, they will be homeotherms, that is warm-blooded. Okay, rest all of them are going to be cold-blooded poikilotherms. What do you mean by that? They cannot maintain a constant body temperature. Just like us, how we maintain a constant body temperature, that is 37.0 degrees Celsius, they do not have a constant body temperature like that. Always remember that. So they are poikilotherms, which is why they have two-chambered heart. So you know one more thing about their heart is that their heart never receives oxygenated blood. As in, I'm not talking about the cells of the heart, but their heart in general always pumps deoxygenated blood. That is a unique feature about them that is not going to come. I don't want to confuse you as well. So let's be restricted to NCERT. So over here, what are the features that you need to know? Streamlined body is there. Mouth position is ventral, my dear children. Notochord is still persisting throughout their life. Gill slits are there, but it is not covered by operculum. And skin, it is tough with placoid scales. The teeth is modified placoid scales and it is arranged backwards. The jaws are really powerful. They do not have swim bladder or basically air bladder, so they have to swim constantly to avoid sinking. They have a two-chambered heart. They are poikilotherms. They can have modifications. Some have electric organs such as torpedo or electric ray. Some have poisonous stings such as trigon or stingray. So Chondrichthyes is done with that. Okay, done. Let's go ahead. And also, they also, yeah, it will come. So reproduction. Okay, reproduction, if you talk about that, they are dioecious, that means sexes are separate, and males, my dear children, have claspers. Have what? Claspers, which looks like this. So they are claspers which are there in the pelvic fins, that is the fins beneath them. Okay, beneath them you have fins, right? So over here you would be having what? claspers, and these claspers are basically going to help with mating. Hence, internal fertilization is something that you can see. Internally, fertilization will be happening in the body, and many of them are viviparous. That means they would be directly giving rise to the young ones rather than laying an egg and all. Okay, so mostly they are what? Viviparous. They have claspers on the pelvic fins for mating. Examples, you have Scoliodon, that is dogfish, Pristis, that is sawfish, Carcharodon, that is a great white shark, and Trigon, that is stingray. Please make sure you are at least aware of what are those things. Okay, this might come, you might be asked which of them are basically chondrites. So you should be knowing that these are the ones who are chondrites: Scoliodon, Pristis, and Carcharodon, and Trigon. Cool? Cool. Now that's about them. Going ahead with the next guys, that is Osteichthyes. So Osteichthyes, they will be having their endoskeleton made up of bones rather than cartilage. Okay, so habitat, they are found in both marine and freshwater environment. There it was only marine, here it is both freshwater and marine. Talking about body shape, it is also streamlined and bony endoskeleton, unlike chondrites which have what? Cartilage. Mouth position, I told you, it's mostly terminal, not ventral, it's terminal region. Okay, located in the front, as you can see over here. Now gill cover, they have 4 pairs of gills, and it definitely have a cover that is known as operculum. So 4 pairs of gills, and which is covered by operculum. Skin basically is covered by cycloid or ctenoid scales. So they do not have placoid scales, instead they have cycloid scales or ctenoid scales, my dear children. They have air bladder present which helps regulate buoyancy. Circulation is 2-chambered, similar to them. They are also cold-blooded. So what are the differences? One is having cycloid scales or ctenoid scales. There it was what? Placoid scales. Here the operculum is there with 4 pairs of gills, my dear children. Under that mouth is at the terminal position. They have a bony endoskeleton. Please remember that as well. Okay, they definitely have an air bladder present. Now talking about the reproduction, they are also dioecious, that means sexes are separate, but fertilization, it is usually external. There it was internal with the help of claspers, but here it is what? External, my dear children. And one more opposite thing is that mostly they are oviparous, that means they are going to lay the eggs. They are going to lay the eggs. So you can remember it like, usually the complex ones, the modified ones are the ones that give birth, but over here it is ulta, that you can see. So chondrites are going to give birth, but over here most of them are going to be oviparous, that is they are going to lay their eggs. Development direct, there is no larval stages involved over here. So this is about Osteichthyes. And we definitely have certain examples. So marine fishes that lives in salt water are Exocetus, that is flying fish. Okay, I have written some extra things about it. So basically what do we do is that, what do I do is that ask the ChatGPT to make it little bit fun for you to remember. So towards the later phase, when I was making the PPT, I thought yes, it is difficult for you to remember a lot of things, which is why I thought of adding this. But yes, I know I didn't include it before. So this happens, improvisation happens, right? And do tell me if it was helpful for you or not. So Exocetus is a flying fish. It can glide over the water. They have things like this. It just looks like a flying thing. You might have seen fishes flying, right? So these are Exocetus. Hippocampus is none other than the seahorse. The male carries the egg in the pouch. Do you know that? So basically what happens, the female will be coming. So here you can see internal fertilization, something different from Osteichthyes. Osteichthyes mostly do external fertilization, but here the female one will be coming and putting the eggs in the pouch of the male hippocampus, that is the seahorse. And in the pouch itself, the male would be releasing the gametes, and then they will be fusing, and later on it will be after the babies would be coming out from the pouch later on. So it's the male horse that gets pregnant, that is how we say. So please remember, it is hippocampus. Campus, they look like a hippopotamus when they are giving birth, you can think like that. So they are seahorse. Now freshwater fishes, you have labio, that is rohu. It is a popular edible fish, you might have had it. Katla, it's the largest freshwater fish. And Clarius, that is mugger, that is air breathing catfish. So we put catfish for basically was purifying the water underneath, because it does that. So Clarius is that, Katla is other, and labio is there. These are freshwater. The Exocetus and hippocampus are marine. Now aquarium fishes kept as pets, you have beta, that is fighter fish, right? They are aggressive, they fight with each other if they kept together. And Pterophylum, which is angelfish, they are so graceful in looking, and that's why they are kept in aquarium. So Pterophylum is angelfish. So these are the example of Osteichthyes. And now, my dear children, this is class Osteichthyes coming under superclass Pisces. Now going back to this particular page where we have spoken about Pisces, now we are going to talk about Tetrapoda, the one that bears limbs and 4 limbs. Okay, now the 4 limbs can be modified into different things, that depends, but anyways they have 4 limbs. So under that you have class Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and mammals. We will be starting with Amphibia first. Okay. So Amphibia, where are you? Yes, this is an amphibian. So your frog that you see is an amphibian, and by looking at a frog, can you tell its feature? Do they have scales, my dear children? So I included the picture of a frog over here because I wanted you to learn in this way. Do they have any scales over here? No, they have a very moist skin, and you know what? They also respire. They also do their gaseous exchange with the help of the skin, and this is known as cutaneous respiration. This is known as cutaneous respiration. So when they have a larval stage, that is tadpole. You know tadpole, right? So they definitely have gills, okay, and then later on the gills have been changed to the lungs in them, in the adult ones, okay. But if they still want to go back into the water, how do they respire? With the help of cutaneous respiration, that is through the skin. Please remember that. So they have three modes of respiratory organ, that is, one is gill, the other one is lungs, and the other one is skin. So cutaneous respiration is the thing. And apart from that, moist skin is there, and you can see they have eyes and they also have eyelids. I'm not talking about eyelashes, I'm talking about eyelids. This is an eyelid. It closes, it opens. So they definitely have an eyelid. Over here you see something, this is known as tympanum. So you know, eardrum, we have an eardrum inside with but we have pinna and everything outside. Okay, basically this is the ear that we know. Within the ear we have eardrum and everything, but over there in them they do not have the pinna and anything. They just have the eardrum, which represents what? The ear itself. So they just directly have an eardrum, which is known as tympanum, And one more very unique feature about them is that their digestive, the alimentary canal, the urinary bladder, their reproductive tract, everything opens into a common thing that is known as cloaca. Okay, that is known as cloaca. Done? Cloaca. Yes, I think I have almost completed a lot of things, but let's read also. So habitat they live both in aquatic and terrestrial environments. Body structure, 2 pairs of limbs are there. Yes, except limbless form. So they have a limbless form, that is this. It looks like a, what do you call it? It looks like a lizard, but it is not a lizard. Usually they do not have a tail, my dear children, but this one. Oh my god, sorry, limbless form is not this, okay, it is Ichthyopis, that is separate. I was talking about tail. So usually, my dear children, in the case of amphibians, they do not have tail and everything, but over here this guy has a tail. This is a salamander, which looks like a lizard. So over here I have a picture also, I think. Yes, this is a salamander. Different type of salamander are there, but this is one. Okay, now, but this is not a reptile. Please remember, salamander is not a reptile, it is an amphibian, which is why I am repeating it again. So over here, 2 pairs of limbs except limbless forms such as Ichthyopis. You can search its picture, I have not included over here. Now body divided into head and the trunk region. This is the head and the trunk region is there. Tail may be present in some such as salamander. Skin, that is moist and without scales, do not have scales. Sensory organ, they have eye, my dear children, with eyelids. Tympanum is there, which is the eardrum, it represents the ears. Digestive and excretory system, I told you, the alimentary canal, the urinary and the reproductive tract. Alimentary as in the food, the urinary and the reproductive tract all opens into what? Cloaca. Respiration by gills, lungs and skin, that is cutaneous respiration. Circulatory system, they have 3-chambered heart. Now from 2 we are upgrading to what? 3. Okay, but still they are what? Poikilotherms. They cannot control their temperature. Okay, they are cold-blooded organisms. Done? Now going ahead with the next thing, that is the reproduction. The sexes are separate over here. They have external fertilization, just like how Osteichthyes were doing, and oviparous, they also lay eggs, my dear children. They have indirect, there it was direct, but here it is what? Indirect development. So you have to say tadpole. So obviously when it egg, and then there is a tadpole stage, and then there is an adult stage. So there is not a direct development that you can see. It's an indirect development. Now examples of frogs and toads have limbs and jumping ability. So buffo is one toad which has rough and dry skin. Rana is another frog with moist skin. Hyla is a tree frog, the green color one, adapted for climbing the trees. Please remember. Now salamanders have tails and limbs. Lizard-like appearance is there. This is one. Salamandra or salamander is... Salamandra is the scientific name. Okay, you also call it salamander. Now limbless amphibians is also there, which resembles like worms or snakes. It is Ichthyopis, the one that I was talking about. It's a limbless amphibians. It has burrowing lifestyle, which is why it does not have limb. If it does have limb, it might get stuck. If it does not have limb, it can go straight burrow. Okay, so I hope, my dear children, this part of the chapter is getting more interesting than the other one, because probably these are things that you can relate to and see. But yes, yes. So yeah, done with amphibians. So please remember the unique feature that they have and everything. Now we are going ahead with the next guys, that is Reptilia. Again, with the picture you can understand a lot of things. What do you see over here? You see lots of scales. So they definitely have scales on their body, and sometimes and mostly they shed off their scales. They get a new skin up there. Okay, and my dear children, here also they have tympanum, even though it's not visible right there, but they definitely have tympanum. So me and the snake. So basically they definitely have tympanum, which is the eardrum, and it is not covered by anything. Okay, just the eardrum out there. And apart from that, anything else? Nothing mentioned over here, I think. Yeah, so they mostly terrestrial, some aquatic are there. Dry and cornified skin is there. Obviously there it was moist skin, here it is dry and cornified skin. Epidermal scales or scutes are present. Sheds in snakes and lizards as skin cast. Okay, sensory organ, no external ear openings. Tympanum is the thing that is representing the ear. Locomotion by creeping or crawling, that is why they are known as reptiles. Okay, limbs may be present or absent. Limbs are present in the case of lizards, but absent in the case of snakes. Yeah, so that is a thing. Circulatory system, heart is usually 3-chambered, as I told you, but 4-chambered heart is there in crocodiles. So crocodiles also comes under reptiles, but they have 4-chambered heart, they do not have 3-chambered heart. So amphibians and reptiles have 3-chambered heart, but crocodile, being even after being a reptile, it is an exception. Okay, temperature regulation is cold-blooded and cannot regulate body temperature at all. Okay, now sexes are separate. Fertilization, again here it is internal, there it was external, now it has become internal, but it is still laying eggs. Okay, it is still laying eggs, my dear children. You might have seen snake eggs, right? And development is direct with no larval stage. So some features are new, some features are old, something like that. Okay, now you have examples. Turtles and tortoise, they come under this category. I hope you know that. Okay, so Coelom, that is what you call as a turtle, it is mostly aquatic. Testudo, that is tortoise, it is land dwelling. On land you find tortoise, in water you find turtle. So Coelom is the name and Testudo is the name. This is very important thing. Okay, you might be asked again which comes under Aves. Now you might feel that Coelom comes under Aves. Aves array, no, it comes under Reptilia. Coelom is what? Turtle. And Testudo is what? Tortoise. How can you remember it? Even I don't know how can you remember it, but by rereading it or by listening to it, you probably might be able to remember. I will come up with a way. Okay, I'll come up with a way. If you have some way, comment it down as well. So lizards, you have legged reptiles adapted for various habitats such as chameleon, my dear, it's a tree lizard. Okay, Calatus, it is the garden lizard, it's the most asked question. Hemidactylus, that is wall lizard, my dear children. So chameleon, Calatus, that is the garden lizard, and Hemidactylus, that is the wall lizard. Now crocodilians, that is crocodilus, and alligator, the name is so simple. Snakes, you have 2 or 3 of them. Naja, that is cobra. Okay, it is highly venomous. Banjaris, again crate, it is small but highly venomous. And viper, vipera, that is viper, which is venomous, known for long foldable fangs that they have. So naja, that is cobra. Banjaris is basically Bangaris or Banjaris, it is crate, it is small but it is what, venomous. And vipera, that is viper. So they all poisonous, my dear children. Okay. So Coelom, Testudo, chameleon, Calatus, Hemidactylus, and things like that. I think it's easy to remember. You can, my dear children. I'll give you the motivation for that. So these are the features of Reptilia. I hope you remember it with the pictures that I have shown you. And now we have Aves. For Aves, I didn't bring up a picture, but these are the birds. These are the birds. If you want, I can make up a picture in that way. Because of my funny diagram, probably you might be remembering it. So this particular little birdie has some thyroid issues probably. It looks like a mix of I don't know, oh my god, it looks like a mix of butterfly and a bird, but yeah. So this is the bird that we are having, my dear children. So over here feathers are present, mostly can fly except what? Flightless birds. Okay, so they have beak present and they have 4 limbs. 4 limbs is there, but the 4 limbs is modified into what? Wings. The hind limbs are there, it is there for walking, swimming and clasping, either things. They have a dry skin. Okay, so you assume it to have a moist skin, but no, my dear children, they also have a dry skin. There are no glands except except the oil gland at the tail base. At the tail base they have an oil gland, which is why they move like this and do that thing. Okay, they have hollow bones. Why do they have hollow bones? Because they have to fly, and if they have solid bones, obviously they would be weighing too much and they cannot be flying. So that is why they have hollow bones for giving them a structure but still helping them with flying. So these hollow bones are known as pneumatic bones, my dear children. So they have a bony endoskeleton. They also have crop and gizzard in their digestive system. So crop and gizzard is a part of the digestive system. You might have seen that they pick up pebbles also while having, not pebbles, basically small things. They take it up, and what they do is that basically these things are being used up for churning their food. So crop and gizzard is a place where again the digestion, everything happens properly, where it is broken down completely with the help of small things that they are taking up. Okay, so please remember that. Circulatory and respiratory system. Now this time, as I told, aves and mammals, they have 4-chambered heart. They are warm blooded. They are homeotherms. So there it was poikilotherms. Now it is what? Homeotherms. Lungs with air sacs for extra respiration. Obviously they move around so fast, so they need some extra things. So lungs with air sacs, my dear children, they have air sacs which helps in more amount of diffusion to take place, and it's a good thing for good amount of respiration to happen. Now sexes are separate. Internal fertilization is going to happen. They also lay eggs. You might have seen the eggs of the birds, yeah, and direct development is there, and there is no larva and things like that. Now you have certain examples. Flying birds, that is crow, corvus. Okay, again very important examples. Pigeon, columba. Parrot, pistacula, or Psittacula, sorry, not Pistacula, and peacock, that is pavo. So corvus, columba, Psittacula, and then you have pavo, that is peacock. Flightless birds, you have ostrich, that is Truthio, and penguin, that is Aptenodytes, and scavenger birds are there such as vulture, which is known as Neophron. Okay, so what is the unique feature? They have pneumatic bones, they have crop and gizzard in the digestive system, they have a dry skin, they do not have glands except at the tail base they would be having an oil gland. Okay, their forelimbs are modified into wings, and their hind limbs are therefore walking and moving around and things like that. Okay, and their lungs are there with extra air sacs, my dear children. So they have extra air sacs. So this is the air sac. You just remember like that. Okay, no, you should not remember it like that. So I was trying to make it fun, but apparently it is not going to be fun. So let's not deal it like that. Okay, so these are the things that you have to study about aves. And do you know that we are just left with one thing to end the whole chapter, and that is Mammalia. Mammalia, we come under Mammalia. Why? Because we have a mammary gland, my dear children, and mammary gland is there for nurturing the young ones. Okay, nurturing the young ones. In the males it is rudimentary, in the females it is prominent, but both of them we have it. So found in diverse habitat, that is polar, desert, forest, water, air. Why? Why we are found in diverse habitat? Because basically we have better adaptive capability. We are the most advanced forms. Okay, so mammary glands for milk production, for nourishment of young ones. 2 pairs of limbs are there, adapted for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming, flying, whatever. For example, are we only the ones who are there in Mammalia? No, my dear children, bats are also mammals. Dolphin is also mammal. In the bats you have wings, in dolphins you have flippers, you have a lot of other things, you get it? So it's not just like the limb that we have is the same in all the organism have it for different use. So hair is present on the skin, yes, okay, and we have external ear as well, that is known as pinna. Yeah, and heterodont teeth. What do you mean by heterodont teeth? That means we have different type of teeth. Do you all have same type of teeth? No, I have canines, premolars, molars, and all the things. Okay, that is known as heterodont dentation. Okay, different type of teeth in the jaw. So these are the features that you should be definitely knowing. Okay, mammary gland, 2 pairs of limbs adapted for walking, running, and climbing, and then hair on the body, external ear is present, and heterodont dentition is there. Now 4-chambered heart, warm-blooded, just like aves, my dear children. Lung is there for respiration. Reproduction is basically sexes are separate, and internal fertilization happens inside the body, and mostly viviparous. Mostly viviparous, as in most of them they basically give rise to the young ones, but there are exceptions. You have oviparous mammals as well. For example, oh my god, such as Ornithorhynchus, that is platypus. Okay, they are oviparous, and usually we have direct development. We have what? Direct development. So oviparous is Ornithorhynchus, that is platypus. Viviparous, that is Macropus kangaroo, Pteropus flying fox, Camelus, that is camel, Macaca, that is monkey. I used to call my friend Macaca mulatus, that is monkey. Okay, so Ratus, that is rat, Canis, that is dog, Felis, that is cat, Elephas, that is elephant, Equus, that is horse. Okay, very important. You might be asked to match the following. So delphinus dolphin, Bellantera blue whale, and Panthera tigris, that is tiger, Panthera leo, that is lion. So all these things are important. If you go through it once, or I'll tell you the best way to remember it. Give your friends a name. Give your friends a name and just call them. Please don't call them, please exclude calling them canis, as well as I think that's all. Yeah. You should not be calling them canis, dog, rest of the things are fine, because dogs are really good, not because your friends are really good, but dogs are really good. So no, it's not because of that. Usually you not call anyone dog, right? But yeah, you can take it in a fun way, but make sure you're not harming anyone's feelings. Okay, so yes, these are the things that you have to remember, my dear children, and these are the unique features in mammals. Okay, done. Mostly there is viviparous, but exception platypus, that is ornithorhynchus. And with that, we cover the entire chapter, and this is how we can sum it up the end. So Porifera, circular level of organization, symmetry, various, as in they are asymmetrical actually, and coelom, it is absent. Okay, segmentation, it is absent, digestive system is absent, circulatory system is absent, respiratory system is absent, because they are the cellular forms. The cells do the all function. Okay, they have osculum and water canal system for that. Body with pores and canals in the walls. Coelom and Cnidaria, they have tissue level of organization, radial symmetry is there. Okay, this is absent, coelom is absent, segmentation is absent, digestive system is incomplete, mentioned over there like that, but they do not have a proper thing. Okay, circulatory system absent, respiratory system absent, cnidoblast are present. They have cnidoblast and polyp and medusa form. Ctenophora tissue, radial symmetry again absent, incomplete digestive system absent, comb plates are there for locomotion and they show bioluminescence as well. Platyhelminthes, organ and organ system. So this is the thing that is there in your NCERT, very much contradictory. Until now we were studying it as organ level of organization, but over here they have mentioned that it is organ and organ system level of organization. So if Platyhelminthes comes, you have to know, if you have two options, go for this option, organ and organ system level of organization. They have bilateral symmetry absent, incomplete digestive system, okay, and flat body and suckers. Aschelminthes, organ system level of organization, you have bilateral pseudocoelomate. This is the first guy to be pseudocoelomate. Rest of the things I think we have covered. Nothing very unique about them. Please remember, in echinoderms, radial form is seen in adult, and bilateral is seen in the case of larvae. So bilateral has L and larvae also has L, you can remember like that. And with this, my dear children, we complete the whole chapter. Do let me know if it was helpful for you. So I was thinking I would be clubbing out some other chapters because you have so less time. In this way, if we go, obviously you cannot complete PU1 chapters, and you should not be investing too much time into it, which is why probably I will be clubbing up. But do let me know if it was helpful to you, and if it was, I will be really happy to know that. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel, like and share, and tell it to your friends as well. Take care of yourself and do not worry about anything. Everything is going to be really good. Bye bye. Take care.